Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 220. Andrew Eisen here. So, the Monster Hunter Rise demo came out. I've been playing that today. Came out Thursday, I think. Um, there was a Monster Hunter Nintendo Direct-ish type esque video presentation, which was fun to watch. Showed off some interesting new things. And I had been meaning to finally get around to doing a video where my introduction to Monster Hunter was a 3 and 3 Ultimate. Hey, MX. Um, and I fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time now. Then Monster Hunter 4 was announced, and it was handheld only. Looked cool. It introduced clambering all over the walls and stuff and mounting the monsters. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. I really don't want to play this game on the handheld. So it didn't. But I did, watching the initial reveal video for Monster Hunter 4 got my creative juices flowing. I thought, after playing Tri and 3 Ultimate, what things would I like to see in a new Monster Hunter game? And I wrote down a list of like 20 some odd things and actually sold it to IGN. They asked me to pare it down to a top 5, but and I actually ended up turning that top 5 into a video, which you can find on my YouTube channel. But I thought it'd be fun to take that original list of 22, whatever it was, and now that we were at World and Iceborne has come to an end, I thought it'd be fun to revisit my original wish list and see how much has come true and in what ways. Well, my computer died, so I didn't do that. And now Iceborne's done and Rise is coming out. One of the things in my original list was monster mounts. I believe I wrote this before stories too, so I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you could like mount monsters and ride them into battle? Now, in the script for my did any of this ever come true in 4 or Generations or World or Iceborne? It was kind of, because in World and Iceborne, well, in World, your Palicos and the Tail Raiders, they could actually ride small monsters into battle. That was close. And then in Iceborne, they gave you the ability to ride some small monsters, but not into battle, just to battle. They're basically taxis. So kind of. Well, Wednesday we got the new trailer, and they have a new feature called Wyvern riding. So now you can mount monsters and ride them into battle. It's limited. You have to build up a hidden meter, mounting points or wyvern riding points or whatever. But once you beat a monster into submission or use a little spider to spit at it, trust me, it's a thing. Then you mount the monster and you can either just slam it into the wall a couple times. That's returning from a World in Iceborne. Or Iceborne, I guess. Or you can pilot it over to another monster and do attacks. Like if you commandeer Rathian, you can spit fireballs or do that backflip poisoning tail strike. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that video eventually, like once Rise comes out. We'll see. Matthew says, how many quality of life things did they take over from Monster Hunter World? Lindy, hello. It's hard to say because this is the demo, but most of them so far. Even by Monster Hunter demo standards, this is better. It does more to explain what's going on. I mean, for example, there are 4 quests. There's a beginner quest against easier monsters, and an intermediate quest against stronger monsters, which I actually haven't played yet because I've just been messing around with the different weapons, thinking about maybe I want to try a new main for to main a new weapon for Rise, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But there's 2 other quests which aren't fight these monsters. Let me use different fingers. One is a how to is a wirebug tutorial, the big new movement mechanic, and the other is a wyvern rider, mount the monsters and drive it around tutorial. So that's really nice, rather than just throwing you in there and say go hunt, go have fun, to go figure something out. On top of the quality of life improvements from World, which includes a lot of really wonderful options, like you can remap the buttons. As many of you probably know, with the PlayStation controller, let me get some visual aids here. With the PlayStation controller, this is the confirm button. This is the back button. With Nintendo, it's the other way around. This is the back button, and this is the confirm button. Which, if you move straight from Monster Hunter World, which is on the PlayStation, to Monster Hunter Rise, which is on the Switch, you're probably going to screw that up because you're used to which button is confirm and which button is cancel. Well, one of the options in the options menu is to switch those buttons. You can switch A and B as confirm and cancel. Pretty handy for people who are coming right over from World. And there's a lot of options in there. The typical, put the vertical axis inverted, the way nature intended. Take auto sheathing off and put it on manual, again, like nature intended. I don't know how anyone plays Monster Hunter with auto sheathing on. I don't know why it defaults to that. It also includes the silhouette for when there's a monster between your player character and the camera. You'll see a shadow, so you can keep track of your character. That was a great addition. I think they added that in Iceborne. Another great addition, which I don't even think is in World or Iceborne, is the ability to pull the damn camera back. Because in World and Iceborne, the camera is a bit too close to the character. Not a big deal as a gunner, but kind of a big deal when you're a melee weapon user, because you have to get right up into a monster's face, and monster's big. So when the camera's zoomed in right to your butt, you can't see. It's just wall of monster. You can't. It's difficult to see what's going on. So I appreciate the fact that you can pull the camera out. That's nice. So the Nintendo Direct, not a Nintendo Direct, a Capcom Direct. The Monster Hunter Rise digital event was Wednesday morning, and they said demo today, and by today they meant tomorrow, and by tomorrow that meant Thursday, and by Thursday they meant Wednesday night. It was probably a time zone thing. I don't know. Who cares? So of course, everyone was trying to download the demo, which means I couldn't download the demo. Well, I could. It just took 2 hours for it to start. I'd go into the eShop, I'd click download demo, and it's like, it's now downloading. And you'd go back to your home screen, it's not downloading. I read a lot of reports. Apparently it broke the eShop. That happens, whatever. I wasn't really in a mood this week to play video games. I tried, and I was like, no, not in a mood. But I played it some today. And that's really all I have to talk about tonight, is Monster Hunter Rise. So I played that today. Now, I've played Monster Hunter try, in which I mained Sword and Shield. Then I played 3 Ultimate, in which I mained the Hunting Horn. And then in World and Iceborne, I mained the Charge Blade. So I thought I should probably pick a new weapon to main for a Rise. So I've got a demo here. I should try them all out and see what intrigues me. So I started with the Charge Blade, mainly just so I had a weapon I was super comfortable with while I figured out the wire bug movement, the new movement mechanic of the game. So wire bug is kind of limited Spider-Man mode. You whip out a wire, which allows you to swing across gaps and stuff. But each whip is a actual little bug with a tail or a string, and and you get 2, and they're on a cooldown timer. So you can't just keep whipping. You can only whip, and then you have to wait a bit. Sean said same thing happened to me. Yeah. Matthew says not video game related, but another piece of good news. AWS? What is AWS? Is booting? Oh, Parler. Well, I know that Apple and Google Play both delisted Parler from their stores, so that's good. And it's always funny to see, funny. It's annoying. In a world where this stuff wasn't so damaging, it would be funny. To see disingenuous dipsticks complain about freedom of speech when they know damn well that that's not what this is. Amazon Web Services. Oh, okay. Cool. Sean says, I think there should be 3 wire bugs instead of 2. Well, littered judiciously across the map are extra wire bugs. So you can have 3. You just pick up a third on the map and it'll stay with you for a minute or so. But that 2 seems to work when you travel, when you're just flipping to travel. They recharge pretty quick. It's like 4 or 5 seconds. When you use the wire bugs to do special moves when you're actually fighting, those can take a little bit longer to recharge, but not really much longer, like 15 seconds, depending on the move. So I think the movement mechanic works quite well. Unless you don't like exploring. If you are the type of monster hunter who only wants to hunt monsters, you can pretty much ignore wire bugs. Like if you have really the only reason to use a wire bug outside of combat is to traverse the vertical terrain where there are no monsters, but there are goodies. If you don't care, then hop on your Palamute, the doggy, and run over to a monster and start beating the snot out of it. There's really no need to use it. It's kind of unfortunate. Not a huge deal if that's the way you want to play the game. But I also noticed while I was playing it that because I'm not used to the wire bugs, I have to really concentrate on actually using them in combat. And I never really felt the need other than as a novelty. So from the demo, at least, and from the beginner quest, wire bug's kind of useless. Don't need it to get to the monster. Don't need it to fight the monster because the weapons have full move sets, and I can kill things just fine in under 3 minutes. Which brings me to another point. Just a criticism of the beginner quest on the demo. Both Great Izuchi and Azuros, who's wandering around the map, they are too squishy. They must only have like 2,000 hit points because both of them do not last much longer than like 2.5 or 3 minutes. Unless you're really bad at the game, and I'm mediocre at the game. Again, I'm mediocre. I'm an average, barely average monster hunter, and I'm taking down Great Azuchi and Azeros in under 3 minutes. They it's not that they hit hard. Like I carded once because Great Azuchi they hit hard. Great Azuchi will send you back to camp in 3 hits, depending on which attacks it's doing. If you're not paying attention to your health, which I was not because I was trying to figure out how to do the wire bug stuff. And I was like, oh, I died. Oh, wow. Great Azuchi hits hard. So they hit hard. You have to pay attention, but they're so squishy. They die so quickly that it's hard to get a feel for any of the move sets because the hunt is over in a couple of minutes, which I find kind of disappointing. You might say, well, Andrew, play the intermediate quest and fight against Mitsitsune and Rathian, I think, is in that quest. And yeah, I will, but I would much rather try to. I think they really should have included the training room in the demo. Just a dummy, just so you can have something to hit as you figure out the moves, because it's kind of difficult to learn a weapon set when something's beating you to death. Um, it's small criticism. Sean is a longsword main and pretty much use the wire bug if I want to use my main move. Oh, that's true. I haven't played the longsword yet, but the what is it called? Helmbreaker, the one where you jump up in the air and come slamming down with the sword. Uh, that requires a wire bug. That is now a wire bug specific move. So yeah, if you're a longsword user, you're gonna be using the wire bug. But as a charge blade main, the two wire bug moves that are in this demo are one is just throw out your wire bug and kind of yank you towards the monster, and that's it. Well, the charge blade is a slower weapon, and you're not very mobile when it's drawn. So if the monster is exhausted or trips or something like that, and you don't happen to be near its squishy face, you can do that wire bug move to yank yourself over there real quick and give it a wallop. That's useful. The problem is, so it's like, okay, that's a cool move. I mean, I was hoping for something more flashy and cool, but it's useful, I guess. The problem I have with the move is it automatically puts you in axe mode if you weren't already in it. But when it yanks you over towards the monster, it doesn't automatically do an attack. Like, I think it would be cool if it yanked you towards the monster into like a forward somersault axe slam or something like that. But no, it just yanks you towards the monster and pulls the axe. So if you hit the X button, triangle, um, you'll move back into sword mode and do a round slash. Or you could hit the A button, circle, and you'll do that double horizontal swing axe thing, which is a great move, especially if you have files. But it's a slow move, so you need to commit to that one. Either way, that move just transitioning out of that into actual moves just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's something they're still tweaking. Maybe it's something I need to get used to. I'm probably not going to main charge blade in this game anyway. It doesn't matter. But it just doesn't feel right. It feels awkward to me. Um, the other charge blade wire bug move is it's essentially a guard point that fills your files, which is cool. That's nice. So, if you have a charged shield, but you haven't charged up your files yet, and you see an attack coming, instead of guard pointing, you could do the wire bug guard point, or whatever the official name of it is, and that will fill your files, and you can go straight into a amped or super amped element discharge if you hit the buttons. The cool, it's cool, but I don't know if the set that which is the coolest set in the game. All of the weapons have different sets, and I think the one that the Charge Blade has is my favorite. It's just really cool. I think it's the one from the spider monster that we've only seen briefly in some of the trailers. Really neat weapon and armor set. I don't know if any of these actually have any skills on them. My guess is they're all just essentially layered armor. None of them have any actual skills enabled. And for those who are wondering, the equipment menu is locked out in the demo, so you can't look to see if there are skills. You also can't see what your attack or defense values are. What was I talking about? I lost the thread there, and my remote is going to fall off my table. There we go. Either files charge extraordinarily fast, or this set actually has like focus 3 on it, because my point is that my files charge so damn fast that it kind of makes the wire bug move that fills all my files not as special as it might otherwise. It's like, oh, you can instantly fill your files. It's like, great. It would take about 3 or 4 hits to do it anyway. It's not really that big a deal. So I was left a little ill impressed there. I do think the wire bug mechanically works really well as far as like controller setup, because it's you hold a trigger and then you hit either. The way Monster Hunter works is there's 2 attack buttons. There's X and A, so just those 2 buttons. Um, so light attack, strong attack, kind of. When you want to use a wire bug, you hold a modifier trigger, and it's X and A. X is for when you want to go up in the sky or stay in the sky. A is for when you want to wire bug to the ground or stay on the ground. Works great. If you have your weapon drawn, then you hold the thing, and X and A are your wire bug attacks. So it's intuitive, it's functional, it makes sense, it's easy to remember. That I think is great. As I mentioned before, I think the traversal mechanics are fine. I do think wall running is really awkward, because in order to run up or along walls, you have to wire bug into it, which is fine. But often I find I can't get my hunter to go, and I have difficulty getting my hunter to go in the direction that I want them to go. So the wirefall move, when a monster knocks you on your butt, you can flip out a wire to pull yourself out of danger. That's a useful move. That one I like. Use that one that's a great. That one's great. That's very useful, very cool. Really like that. It also that wire fall, when a monster knocks you down, you whip out of danger. It also immediately sheathes your weapon, so you can instantly start chugging health drinks or whatever. Just got to remember that it does that, because a couple of times I went to slam on the attack and went, "Oh, I'm sheathed," and I didn't notice. Oops. So that's good. Spirit Helmbreaker, says Sean. That's right. I was fairly close. Not bad for someone who doesn't play the weapon. Sean, not a fan that they tied the Helmbreaker to the Spirit Helmbreaker to a wirebug move. I have no opinion. I haven't played the longsword yet. So after I played with Charge Blade a bit, mainly just to also explore the map and play with the endemic life, which is really cool. And here's a quality of life thing that they've added to Monster Hunter Rise that was not in World and Iceborne. Um at gathering nodes, either a mining point, a bone gathering point, or one of the mushrooms or other plant gathering things. Instead of mining or gathering several times to pull 3 or 4 ores or berries or bones or whatever, you gather once. You smack that node with a pickaxe, and you get 3 or 4, 2 iron ores and one some other ore. You don't have to gather at gathering spots multiple times anymore, at least in the demo. You just gather once and you get all the stuff from that spot. Well, that's going to make gathering quests a lot faster. So, um, I'm like kind of a couple of minds about it, 2 minds about that. It's like on the one hand, oh, that's convenient. On the other hand, it's like, oh, it's not as special because I don't have to work as hard for it. Certainly, it's not a change I'm going to lose any sleep over. It's fine. I have not played all the weapons so far. I think I've only played like half of them in the demo. And again, I've only played it in the. I did the 2 tutorials, and I've only been playing in the beginner quest against Great Azuchi and Azeros. Oh, it's funny. I saw it. Once you run down the hill from the camp, you get into the main area with that stone arch in the middle of the area. I look over to the left where the river comes in, and Azeros is charging into the area. I'm like, shing, like, uh-oh. I mean, he is barreling into the area, like, and so I pull my weapon. I'm like, all right, buddy, here we go. And he hangs a left, and he runs up the hill and up and down one of the paths, leaving the area. Bye. So where does Stan think? I mean, he runs into the area and turns left and runs up the hill, and I'm like, well, he has somewhere to go. I don't know what the. He's like, oh shit, I left the oven on. I don't know what that was about, but I got a laugh out of it. Sean says, I think the Switch Axe armor is the coolest looking armor, and the demo looks. Oh yeah, it's the cat robot. Well, the female one has ears and a tail. I have to. Man, what monster is that from? Is there a robot cat, or is it like one of those? It's built out of ore or metals or something. It's not actually from a monster. It is pretty cool though. I do like that one. So I think the first thing I tried after Switch Axe was the dual blades, which uses the Somnicanth armor, I believe, which is very cool looking. I wish the veil that the headpiece had some kind of texture to it rather than just this solid blue color, because it doesn't look like a veil. It looks like almost a display screen slapped on someone's face. It's weird looking, but still a very cool armor. I like the dual blades. That's a fun weapon. It's kind of like Sword and Shield. It's one of the very mobile, weaker but quick hitting ones. Trying to remember what the what the Wirebug moves are for that one. I think one of them is the spinny Beyblade one. In Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, if you launched off of from sliding down a slope or off of a ledge, you'd go into this windmill type of whirly thing with your swords held out, and you just spin along the length of the monster. That's a Wirebug move now, so that's fun. I don't remember what the other one is. But that's definitely. I was like, this is cool. I'm liking this. This is a contender for one I might want to main. The next one I tried, Sean, was the Switch Axe, which is somewhat similar to the charge blade in that it's a transforming weapon, switches between sword and axe mode, and it's cool, and it's fun, and it's another contender for a weapon I might main, but I don't get it. The weapon makes no sense to me so far. Um, like the charge blade, it's a transforming weapon. It's got chargy files. It's got a unique icon in the upper left where different little meters are showing you things. Um, the thing I like about the charge blade is it makes coherent sense, right? It it doesn't. I mean, it's like not something you could build in real life, but it seems to follow some semblance of internal logic. You know, uh, you smack things with your sword to build up uh, energy, and then you bank that into files, and then you bank your files into your shield, and then you uh, do more energy to fill your files again. Now, if you stick your sword into your charged shield, you now have a charged sword. That makes sense. And then when you switch to axe mode, you can expel all those files into an explosion. That makes sense. That's not something that would exist in real life, but it has its own internal logic. The charge blade, I'm not following. I don't get it at all. It's cool, it's fun, but I'm like, I genuinely do not understand what this weapon is doing. Apparently, you hit stuff in one of the modes so that you can go to another mode, the other mode, and do file damage. And there's a meter that like fills up in the center and along the outside. And I'm not, even after reading the hunter notes, I'm just not clear what that represents. It seems to imply that if it's drained, you can't use sword mode, or you'll fall out of sword mode and back into axe mode. But that didn't seem to be the case. I seem to be able to switch freely between the two. So that one's going to take a bit more look seeing, because again, it was fun. I might main that one. It's really cool, but I'm like, I'm not following the logic of how this weapon works. Um, Sean asks, "What did I think about Gas Harag?" I Well, he's not in the demo, but it's a cool looking monster. Um, so it looks cool. It's big big beast. I'm guessing it's a fanged wyvern. Big beastie dude who breathes frost breath onto its arm to create like a ice sword. It's pretty cool. Very oni looking, Japanese demon looking things. Really good. Of course, that's kind of a theme throughout this game. It's really cool. I like it. Then I decided to try. Pardon me. Then I decided to try out the melee weapons, because I've never tried the melee weapons. So I tried the small bowgun, light bowgun is what it's called, light bowgun, and then I tried the heavy bowgun, and then I tried the bow. I don't think I'm a fan of Gunner in Monster Hunter. It's boring to me. Granted, I was only playing against the Great Azuchi and Azeroth, the big bear honey badger thing. But to me, the melee weapons were just, oh god, it's going to sound so elitist saying this, but it felt like easy mode to me, because you just stand at range and shoot the monster. You just kind of circle strafe around them. I mean, especially with the light bow gun, because it's so mobile. You just shoot, 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 slide out of the way, shoot, shoot, shoot. It's like you never get hit unless you get completely distracted by something. Like, oh, my fly is down. Goodness. Oh, I got hit. I just did not find shooting them very. I want to get up in there and smack on the face with something blunt. That's how I want to play. I got a lot more fun out of walking up in there and smacking them with the gun. And I really didn't like the bow. I thought that one was just absolutely no fun to play. In fact, I ended up just walking up to the monster and start stabbing him with the arrow, which did a lot more damage than any of the arrows anyway. So that seemed to be. I just put on the close range coating and just started stabbing. And I don't know. I don't think the melee weapons are for me. Um, and they do seem tuned a bit more for multiplayer hunts because half of your ammo are things like poison, stun, exhaust, paralyze, which for a solo hunter, that's not terribly useful because you're not doing any damage. You're taking a minute or two to paralyze the monster. It's like just throw down a shock trap. Oh, shock traps have kind of like orange electricity now, which is interesting. Um, so yeah, at least as of the demo, just not that they don't control well, not that their move sets aren't well thought out. It's fine. It's just not for me. I that's not how I want to play Monster Hunter. Let's see. He does look kind of like Gossarog does look kind of like a Yeti. Sean says Gunner is boring, but likes the bow. I like the idea of the bow. I was curious about the guns. I was really excited to try the bow because I was like, oh, we're gonna go old school. We're gonna go all Rambo and this stuff. And I just like, I don't know. It's just not satisfying to me. I guess I just need to hit monsters in the kisser with a blunt object. I should try hammer. Just wasn't doing it for me. Colin says hi. Hi, Colin. Colin's playing Borderlands. Yeah, I've actually never played Borderlands. Sean says you should try hammer. Yeah, I should. I've played Hunting Horn. And looks like they've really changed that up a bit. So I should probably give a Hunting Horn a try. I mean, there's nothing that says I can't main something I've mained before. So I should give that another go. Looks fun. What else did I try? So the last thing I tried was Gun Lance. Now, Lance has always looked incredibly boring to me. Shuffle, 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 poke, 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 little hop, poke, 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 little hop, poke, poke. I'm like, oh my God, that looks boring. To be fair, I've never tried it. I also really hate the way the lance sits on your character's back it's just this giant pole strapped to your back. It's just an aesthetic thing, but I don't like it. All due respect to lance players, I have not tried it. Maybe I would love it. So I gave the gun lance a try because it's like, okay, it's lance, but it shoots bullets. it's a boomstick. Colin says, if you're into looter shooters, you might like Borderlands. I'm generally not into looter shooters, so I think I'd like the aesthetic of Borderlands. I'd like the humor of Borderlands. I'd probably like a lot of the gameplay, just the actual run around shooty bits. But yeah, the whole looter part of the shooter would probably eventually end up leaving me cold. Probably. Hard to say. Haven't played it. A lot I like about it, just from what I've seen, though. Humor-wise, aesthetics. Yeah. Maybe I'd like the. No, probably not. I was saying the Telltale game series, but I generally don't like the Telltale games. Period, because they're boring. Because they're not games. Like I'm that guy. I'm the guy who does not like Telltale's Walking Dead. I think it's awful. I think it's I think it's objectively bad. I've explained this before in other videos, but I'm not of the opinion. Telltale Walking Dead, yep, not for me. No, I think it's genuinely bad. And nothing against anyone who enjoys it, which is most everyone. I'm in the absolute minority on this opinion. But yeah, I did not like the game at all. Um, I, oh God, I do not like. Um, Colin not really into the Telltale games either. Yeah. Well, now we don't have to worry about it because Telltale is no longer, which is a shame because a lot of people really love that stuff, and it was clear that they were. I do wish they would have spent some time to just upgrade the graphics and technology powering their stuff because they were using like the same damn engine, and it was really janky. Um, in every success, I mean, it was something you could overlook in the early games, but it was the same problems in each successive games. It's like, oh my gosh, guys, come on, build a new engine, please. Like your games are selling really well. Whoever's, I forget, were they self-publishing? Try and get a publisher to fund R&D to build a new engine because God, it sucks. Anyway, what was I talking about? Gunlance. So Shooty Lance. I really like Gunlance. This is a strong contender. It's Wolf Among Us 2 didn't come out. I remember Wolf Among Us. I remember there was a sequel. Huh, did it not come out? Colin says just like Bethesda when they were using the same engine for over a decade. Yeah, well, I mean, now using the same engine is the least of Bethesda's problems. Now they're just a terrible company who makes terrible games that don't work at all, and that's really sad considering the pedigree of that company. Oh well. So Gunlance, it's a lance with a gun, and it makes explodey things, and it's. I was able to kill monsters, but I did not wrap my head around the controls. Well, I mean the basic controls, but there's some combo paths in there that the hunter notes are not really explaining. Um, and I didn't quite get the pardon me. Oh goodness. The silkbind attacks, the wirebug attacks for that weapon are actually pretty good. One is a you actually launch into the air and you come slamming down with the lance bit, which and that one's really satisfying. I like that one. The other one is another guard pointish type of one, but what it does is there's a big charge up, charge up, charge up, charge up, charge up, kaboom type of thing that has a cooldown timer on it. If you guard point correctly with the wirebug thing, that reduces the cooldown timer. So that's helpful. Not only can you shoot little bullets, but you can charge them up. Um, there's this you can shoot this I think it's called a worm stake. You can shoot this big chunk of metal out of the end of your lance that sticks into the monster and explodes. It's explodey good fun. So I'm kind of, and the lance actually sits more cleanly on your character's back and doesn't look so goofy. So um the only issue with the gun lance I saw in the limited time I spent with it is there's almost no mobility to this sucker. Good thing it's got a shield because you're almost certainly not dodging out of the way unless you are amazing at iframing stuff, um, or you have evade extender. Even then, I mean your character's like, all right, going to evade. Uh, you know, barely move. Um, so kind of funny. But I mean, you've got a pretty sturdy dang shield. I'd need to fight something that hits a lot harder to because both the Azeros and Great Azuchi do not flinch you with any of their. Because I blocked everything without flinching, and who knows if the set had guard on it or whatever. I would doubt it, but those are early monsters, so I should probably take the gun lance into the Mitsune and not Rathalos, Rathian, and block some attacks there and see if I get knocked back. Because against Great Azuchi and Azeros, it's really easy. Just block and poke and shell, and it's actually kind of satisfying. Explosions are fun. Um, so let's see. Did I cover everything I want? Did that? Did that? The HUD needs some work. Still 2 months and change out for almost 2.5 months till the game comes out. So they've got some time to, and who knows when this demo was actually built. So they've got some time to do some minor tweaks to the HUD. For example, when you gather at a mining point and you get a bunch of different ore, you get these big blocky garish text boxes that tell you what they are, and that could be a little sleeker, I think. The radial wheel is too small and too towards the bottom of the screen. Maybe it's just because I'm used to the big honking weapon wheel in World and Iceborne that's in the middle of the screen, but I don't know. It just looks wrong to me. So maybe a couple tweaks to the HUD should be fine. I still don't know why sheathing defaults to auto. I don't know who does that, because the last thing you want to do is accidentally put your weapon away when you're fighting a monster that's trying to bite your face off. I also have never understood why it's called inverted y-axis when that's the proper way the y-axis should work. You pull down on the controller stick and the camera pans up like nature intended. The other way is inverted. That's normal, you see. Just I mentioned this earlier, but at least in the beginner quest, Great Azuchi and Azeros die too quick. They should. They they hit hard. I mean, they'll cart you in 3 or 4 hits if you're not paying attention. But they even if you don't know what you're doing at all, you're probably going to put these monsters down in about 3 minutes because they have no health. Which to me is a bit problematic for a demo because they die before you have a chance to learn the weapon or figure out the wire bug moves or even really do any of the wyvern riding stuff. Oh, which brings me to the wyvern riding, which I didn't really talk about. So you can smack a monster enough and then mount them and either drive them around the level to find another monster to fight or just ram them into the walls a few times, which is actually really cool. How do you imagine from a control standpoint, how do you imagine you navigate the monster around the level? Naturally, you would think, oh, well, I would assume it's the same way you navigate the hunter or navigate the hunter when on the back of the dog. You use the control stick. You pick a direction you would like to go, and then you press the control stick in that direction, and off you go. No. Nope. When you're riding a monster, you hold R. I don't know why. It's really awkward. And I was trying not to do the thing where I'm like, I don't like this. This is stupid. What were they thinking? They're all dumb and I'm better than them. The developers. I tamped that immaturity down and gave it some serious thought and said, okay, why would this work like that? What would the benefit of doing it this way? Or conversely, what would be the drawback to just having the monster move around with the control stick? And I thought about it, and I have no idea. I genuinely don't know why it's like that. I don't like it. Now, I don't like it because it makes the monsters really unwieldy and awkward to control. Maybe that's the point. Because, I mean, I imagine the monster doesn't want you on its back and doesn't want to go that way. So they're making the controls awkward and unwieldy to simulate trying to pilot a large monster. Okay, I understand the thought process if that's what it was, but it's not fun, and that's a problem. I've not played The Last Guardian, but from what I understand, like a real dog, the bird dog cat thing, Tico or whatever his name is, sometimes doesn't listen to you, sometimes ignores you, sometimes just doesn't do what it's told, like a real animal might. And on the one hand, that's kind of cool because it's like a real living thing. But on the other hand, it's still a video game. And I'm trying to complete this puzzle. Get your feathery ass over here. So while I can understand where the developers might be coming from in some of these decisions, if the end result is not as fun, then I am less inclined to agree with the decision. It's actually the least of my problems with the wyvern riding, though. As mentioned, you can attack other monsters while riding a monster, using the same attack buttons, X and A. The problem is it's really awkward, and it doesn't feel right. Now, again, this is just a demo. Maybe that'll be tuned a little bit better in the final game, but it it never really feels like you're hitting anything. It almost feels like a slap fight. It's like it doesn't feel crunchy. It doesn't feel like, oh yeah, I just tail whipped that monster with a Rathian. That's amazing. Just doesn't feel right. Um, what's on my phone? Well, that's definitely spam. Yeah, someone I don't know just sending me an anonymous link. Yeah, like who's gonna fall for that? Delete. Um, Also, the moves have these huge windups that it isn't clear where the windup starts. Now, maybe that's like, oh, the animation blends so well you can't tell where it's. But it ends up feeling like you're not in control. It's like, am I doing anything? Are these buttons? Oh, he did a lunge. I guess that's what it is. It's just it doesn't feel right. It's confusing. Again, maybe it's that, oh, it shouldn't, it feels unwieldy and like you're out of control. It's like, maybe that's what you're going for, in which case you nailed it, but it's not fun. This is topped off by the fact that as you beat up other monsters, you build a meter. And when the meter fills, you can do what is called the Mounted Punisher. It's essentially a fatality or final smash, or some last big ass move that you do before your time on the monster's back is over. In all cases, in the demo, the Mounted Punisher is disappointing. because it doesn't appear to be unique. It appears to be just, for instance, the Great Izuchi is like the X button does kind of a advancing claw slash, and then the A button does like a tail whip, and the mounted finisher is just like both of them. It feels I mean, it feels like there should be, I don't know, like the mounted finisher would be the Great Izuchi leaps onto the sucker, grabs him, wraps the tail around, and spins him like a damn top, or does pile drives him. Something there should be this. Imagine if the final smash in Smash Brothers. I don't remember what Mario's final smash. What's the Minecraft dude? Um, his final smash is he knocks you into a Minecraft house filled with dynamite and creepers, and then it explodes while he eats a celebratory steak. It's unique. It's visually interesting. It plays on all of the moments of Minecraft that fans of Minecraft know and love. I don't like Minecraft. Now imagine if Minecraft dude's final smash was simply smacking you over the head with a pickaxe, or you know, running into you with a minecart and then smacking you with a pickaxe. You see, it's a combination of two of his standard moves. Yeah, well, that's kind of boring. So the mounted Punisher is not special. It's not distinct enough from what you've already been doing with the generic attacks. So hopefully that's improved in the final game, because I was left a bit disappointed. Also, the fact that the Azeros and Great Izuchi are so damn squishy, they're probably going to die before you mount any of them anyway, unless you use the spider thing. And those are my thoughts on Rise. So Sean says, I wish you didn't have to press L first to cycle through your potions and other stuff, and you have to press A or Y to cycle through it. Yeah. I don't know why you can't just use the D-pad like in World. Huh. I did not realize that you could use the D-pad in World to just cycle left and right through um through through the item box. I've been playing Monster Hunter since Try, so I'm totally used to just holding L and then using the Y and A, or square and circle to browse back and forth. Let me look at something real quick here. See if that might be a setting in the options menu. I would, if that was a thing in World and Iceborne, I'd be kind of surprised if they took that out. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, another weird thing is the poses in this game. They, in World and in the earlier games, when you did poses, your character would animate into it. Now they just snap into place. It's weird. It's kind of funny, just really quickly altering between poses and going da 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 da. But I don't know why they did that. That's weird. All right, let's see. Is it action bar? No. Let's see. Controls, camera, gyroscope. You can change that in the options menu. Although there's a new action bar that there's the action bar and the item bar. Um, by default, the action bar uses the D-pad to check different things, and then the item bar uses the hold L and then use the face buttons to scroll back and forth. But you can change that in the options menu. So MX says, Steve, that's Minecraft. Yeah, knocks you in a house with creepers and free TNT. Sean says, I thought that's what you use in World anyway. Uh, it is. I guess you can change that in the options. You can still change that in the options in Rise, though. But I guess if you do that, you'd have to change the action bar to something else, which is fine because I didn't use the action bar because there wasn't anything in it that I seemed to need. Like the only thing in there that I wanted to, like you can, it's like the map is in there, but I can just hit the start button, or it's not start, it's what, plus? Yeah, plus. You just hit the plus button or minus, whatever it is, to open the map. It's like, oh, you can get on your dog. I can do that anyway just by holding the A button. So in the demo, at least, the action bar seems to be completely useless, at least to me. I mean, there's the chat thing is in there, but again, you can get to the chat by clicking on, I think, the minus button. So kind of useless. Well, not useless, just redundant. Maybe it's easier for some people to use the action bar. I don't know. So that's those are my initial thoughts on the Monster Hunter Rise demo. I like that all 14 weapons have a different armor set, because there's some really nice armor sets and armor and weapons in this game. They are very cool, very cool. Oh, one thing that Rise has added is chatty hunters. They comment on stuff when they get hit, or when they put down traps, or when they start carving, or when they pet the dog. Um, they have comments like, "You're making me mad. Take this. I'm gonna carve meat off your butt." But I haven't heard that line, but that would be pretty funny. Every time they pick something up off the ground, it's like, I can use this, or yoink. Or when you carve, you're not going to need that anymore. It's pretty funny, but I think when I get the full game, I will probably eventually turn that off because they just talk too much and don't say anything interesting or useful or particularly funny. Might be useful in multiplayer because they automatically say stuff like, I'm putting down a trap, or I'm laying down barrel bombs, or something like that. But yeah, for now anyway, it's like, shut up. Just be quiet. I'm trying to hunt in peace. So, all right. I think I managed to talk about Monster Hunter Rise for an hour. How about that? So I think that's where we'll call it for tonight. I did look into, because I still don't have my computer yet because I'm still missing some components. I was looking into. I'm setting down this trap now. I'm going to destroy this trap now. What was I saying? Oh, I wanted to continue game streaming. I thought, well, I can stream straight to YouTube and Twitch from my PS4. Problem is been looking into it, and PS4 does not handle that very well. Also, depending on the game, it will start blocking some scenes from being streamed. Um, Depends on the game. Like Yakuza does that a lot. Every time you watch a cutscene, it's like, you can't record this, you can't stream. It's like, leave me alone. Thanks for interrupting the cinematic scene with a blonk. Maybe there's a setting that turns that off. I don't know. But anyway, the quality is pretty bad. Also, you can't use any, so far as I've read anyway, you can't use and experimented. You can't use generic webcams. You can only use the PlayStation Eye, which I don't have. So I thought maybe I could, stream some stuff from my PlayStation 4, but it would just be of lesser quality than I'm comfortable with. So we'll have to wait until I get my computer and put it together. So hopefully, not too much longer, but who knows? So thanks for hanging out with me tonight and listening to my musings about Monster Hunter Rise. I hope you found them interesting. And have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy, have fun. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye.